This pastor was weird. Let's just say he liked little children. He might go visit the local park, some would say.
Joe Rogan made it seem like he was holier than holy. As a Christian youth pastor, he dedicated his TikTok to showing respect for women until 6 different people exposed him for his own secretly terrible history. You could see the red flags in early tweets like this one. I am a Christian, and I support LGBTQ, and I support BLM, and I support people of other faiths, and I support a women's right to choose.
Why is like that? And I support, like, I feel like that's so robot-y. Like, humans don't, that's weird.
The need to vocalize his own morality was almost strangely excessive, and his TikTok videos weren't any different. He wanted to punch all men who talked about how women dressed, while reminding his female followers that they had total control of their body.
Oh, so he's just like a male feminist? There's a lot of people like that on TikTok.
When he wasn't supporting women, it was instead minorities.
It's homophobia, racism, misogyny, you name it, all thinly veiled as a joke, and you're not fooling anybody.
Which people found suspicious long before he was exposed.
But when this dude is making almost his entire personality about respect women, always be nice to women, respect, it gets a little overboard, to be honest.
When questioned about his motives, Joe Rogan snapped pretentiously,
Just imagine being so worried about losing your male privilege that you would call anything that has to do with equality for women anti-men.
believing that when all men are killed, he'd be spared because of his TikToks. And when he did also occasionally support men,
Hold on. Who's going out killing all men? How are all men gonna die? And why would he be spared?
Now, I've talked about men getting body shamed, women getting body shamed.
the objective was still the same. Try to make himself seem like a person who did no wrong. The caption of his merch was literally "Be Better," which seemed true to him as a church office manager and youth pastor on the weekends.
So depending on how long you've been following me, you may or may not know that I'm actually a very religious person.
People therefore heavily respected him, even making stan accounts such as Lovely Joe Robe, while comments on his live streams read, "I have so much respect for you. You speak for others and it makes me so happy." Any videos criticizing him were met with thousands of dislikes until people became suspicious of Joe Rogan's supposed morality. In late 2020, a TikToker named Gemini Official was exposed for his relationships with multiple young girls. Being in line with Joe Rogan's content, people asked him to talk about it, although for whatever reason, Joe Rogan avoided the topic.
Message Joe Rogan saying, hey, this is a problem, can you speak about it? Which is bizarre that it would take you so long to talk about somebody who's grooming children.
Joe Rogan later explained on Discord that denouncing the actions was simply too obvious, although having previously claimed the goal of his TikTok was to create a safe space for young people, it seemed odd that Joe Rogan didn't want to talk about it. Perhaps he was simply
That was his thing? His whole thing was creating a safe space for young people? Are you trying to attract young people? Do you perhaps want to touch young people, maybe? Maybe. I'll keep my eye on you.
avoiding drama, but this wasn't the only example where Joe Rogan deflected an obvious topic. He'd become friends with a TikToker named The Calvin Brandel, whose videos promoted a similar sentiment to those made by Joe Rogan. Well, turns out he'd been doing exactly what he disavowed, explaining he thought it was okay because he was TikTok famous.
I felt that with TikTok, my ego was super inflated, and I felt like I was invincible, I was unstoppable, I couldn't make any mistakes.
What? Well, that actually nowadays, a lot of very famous people have been caught, so. But I don't see how that would, like, you're TikTok famous, so now I can talk to minors. Like.
Despite having photos together on Instagram, Joe Robe avoided the situation.
You have no problem calling out problematic men, but it seems like the problematic man is your friend and you're a little quiet.
Eventually addressing what had happened with this iconic statement.
I'll say it again. If you groom somebody, you are disgusting. The scum of the earth.
Joe Robe, however, was doing exactly this himself.
This was somebody that I felt safe around, but I don't feel safe around him anymore because he's a groomer.
On one unassuming Wednesday, 17-year-old TikTok
How do you find out? That makes no sense to me. Like, I just don't understand.
DillG16 uploaded the following video.
This video will be about one of the biggest hypocrites I have ever met in my life, Joe Robe. John is a disgusting and terrible hypocrite who abuses his platform by using his clout to groom and prey upon underage boys. He has done this.
Boys? I thought he was a pastor.
To multiple people, including me. John first followed me whenever I had about 30,000 followers and joined my live stream and asked for my Snapchat, so I gave it to him. After Snapchatting for a few weeks, he asked me if I wanted to get an Airbnb with him on my 18th birthday, which was over 3 months away. He started to send me links to 1-bedroom Airbnbs, and he offered to purchase me alcohol if I went, and this is him talking about the 1-bedroom. He knew that I did not want to get the Airbnb, so he thought if he invited one of my IRL friends, I would want to go. That's him asking when he was going to turn 18.
And while Joe Robe was at least waiting until their 18th birthday, the group chat they shared wasn't quite so clean.
That's still weird. Like, you don't ask someone before their 18th birthday if they want to go out with you when they turn 18. What?
One of the Zooms with all of my TikTok friends, John thought it would be a good idea to have us all take a BDSM score test and send him our results. Keep in mind, the youngest was 15 years old and the oldest were 19, and there were only 2 19-year-olds and everybody else was 17 and below.
Which had happened just a month before Joe Robe's 28th birthday. DillG added one more detail before the video finished.
I found out that there are multiple people that John has groomed.
As a person named Coco then also came forward.
He started asking like different questions, like what state do you live in, and do your parents let you travel, and do you like to travel, and and he offered to buy me a room with him. He offered to buy me alcohol.
How could, like, this never made sense to me. Why would you want to do that? Why, like, just, you don't, like, we live in the age of the internet where you do something online or even privately, someone can screenshot it and now it's online. So it's not even why do you think that wasn't gonna come out?
This is the one quote I remember him talking to me. I may be a pastor or I may work for God, but I'm not against kids having fun. I should have realized it right there.
Then there was another.
I can't go into specific details about what happened between me and Joe Robe because it is quite not safe for work.
And another after that.
He'd also make promises about getting air.
Oh. So he does boys and girls. This is so wrong. This is horrible.
Airbnbs and meeting up with us. He promised alcohol and hot tubs.
Joe Robe's accusers then made a Google Doc listing everything else he'd done. He'd tried to get blank and blank to create an OnlyFans once he turned 18 and said he'd set it up for him and subscribe, also strangely bribing the group to call him hot and locking a girl who was also intoxicated out of Zoom for calling him old and refusing to call him hot. Papa Gut talked about the document in this video here, after which he'd been messaged a story worse than every other one combined. I ran a small fan account for Joe Robe on Instagram. He eventually asked for my Snapchat. He told me no one else had his Snapchat and made me promise to not give anyone it or to tell anyone what we talk about. Conversations got really weird and he sent me a lot of dirty pictures, 4 of which were included to prove he wasn't lying. I was also 14 at the time. He didn't even bother to ask how old I was or for any form of identification, but he would call me a baby.
Bro, that's... He just doesn't care. That's so weird.
a lot and would try and force me to call him daddy. To make matters worse, John's church profile explained, outside of his work at St. John, he is a private music teacher with over a dozen students.
This guy's a teacher? Who let him in the school building, bro? They need to do background checks.
And up until recently was the activities chair for the Northern Sky District of the Boy Scouts of America.
Okay, so this guy just straight up likes kids. Like, his job, all of his jobs just include kids.
But wait until you hear why he left his previous job. Someone messaged one of the accusers, "I wanted to reach out because I'm on staff at the church he used to work at. He was removed from staff over 2 years ago, and he was really upset with our church and strict protocols for working with youth, so he left to go to another church. We're currently in the process of contacting the other church and places he's at, as well as local authorities." Joe Robe's LinkedIn partially confirms the story's legit, as it shows he previously worked in the very same church as the lady who told the anecdote. Unsurprisingly, people demanded Joe Robe also lose his new job.
St. John.
He shouldn't be able to work with kids, because he likes them.
Lutheran Church. You have some explaining to do.
With Papa Gut even calling the church directly.
This is the church that he works at. I know this because I called the church that he works at and I asked him if he works there. They said yes. I told them that they were very serious and credible allegations. They immediately hung up after they said, "Oh, thank you."
Despite hanging up the phone, the church quickly deleted Joe Robe from their website before iSpeak1906 extracted an unofficial statement.
The pastor reached out and he wants to remain anonymous. However, the bishop is aware and he has been terminated and authorities have been contacted, and that's about all that we have.
But the bigger question was, how did Joe Robe himself respond? Did he make a self-aimed TikTok about his own heinous actions? Well, no.
Imagine he made a TikTok about it. It starts off like one of the sad YouTube intros, like, and they're like crying already.
He deleted his TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, even his LinkedIn, and hasn't been heard from since. His refusal to address the 2 previous situations suddenly all made sense, while others were less surprised. The accusation can't be real. A white knight influencer being secretly an awful person is unheard of. Not even surprised. It's always these types of men that end up being predators, but no one was less surprised than one of Joe Robe's former friends. As someone who personally knows John Bell and lived with him at university for a year, I can assure you that he's not the good guy here, and that these accusations line up with his past behavior. The dude was all-knowing, manipulative,
Why were you ever friends with him? If he was
homophobic, and tried to give off this ultrapious Christian facade.
He was everything that he was preaching not to be.
Nothing about his online presence was genuine. Karma is taking a toll on him, and I'm glad he's getting thrown off the internet. Before any of this happened, Vegan Teacher had stated, "John Robert Bell, you're going straight to hell." And it turns out her song hit the nail on the head.
This is the first Vegan Teacher I've ever seen.